Imagine this. One of Kenya's most iconic political figures, Raila Odinga, passes away. The state, of course, plans a solemn, dignified farewell. But what actually happens is a day of pure heartbreak and disorder that brings the capital, Nairobi, to a grinding halt. Today, we're exploring how the passing of just one man could unleash such overwhelming emotion, all based on the deep, deep connection he had with millions.
So, the official plan, it was meticulous. You had President William Ruto and other dignitaries at the airport, a full state reception with military honors, the whole shebang. But none of it was a match for the sheer force of the crowd. The ceremony was just completely overwhelmed. It had to be abandoned right there on the spot.
And the situation escalated so quickly that authorities had to take almost an unheard-of step. They shut down the airspace over Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, one of the busiest hubs in all of East Africa. And why? A massive security breach. Thousands of mourners flooded the area, forcing a complete 2-hour closure just for a security suite.
This cry from a mourner right there on the airport tarmac just captures the raw, unfiltered emotion of the day. And it brings us to our central question. What kind of leader inspires this level of grief? A grief so powerful it can just toss aside state plans and shut down an entire city.
To really understand the chaos, we have to look at the timeline of that day. It began with such a careful plan, but it descended into total pandemonium, and fast.
What's really striking is just how quickly it all unraveled. The flight lands at 9:30. In just 30 minutes, security is breached, the official ceremony is called off. By 10:26, the entire airport is on lockdown. And barely an hour after that, the government is forced to completely change the venue. It's a clear, undeniable sign they had totally lost control.
And this contrast pretty much tells the entire story. The state's vision was all about orderly, solemn military precision. The reality? It was pure, unscripted, raw emotion from the people. Dignitaries couldn't even get near the casket. And that planned, orderly viewing at Parliament? Yeah, that had to be scrapped for a massive stadium just to try and contain the chaos.
So to understand this storm of emotion, we really have to understand the man at its center, Raila Odinga. Why did this political giant, a fixture for 4 decades, inspire such fierce grief for millions of Kenyans?
His resume is basically a portrait of modern Kenyan history. He was prime minister, yes, but he also spent 8 years as a political prisoner. He was a key figure in the fight for multi-party democracy, one of the architects of Kenya's modern constitution. He ran for president 5 different times, and after that disputed election in 2017, his supporters controversially swore him in as the people's president. He was, in so many ways, both the ultimate insider and the eternal outsider.
But for his followers, he wasn't just a politician. He was Baba. And that's why Swahili word for father is the key to everything. It wasn't just some nickname. It was about a deep, personal, almost familial connection. They really saw him as a national patriarch, the father of the nation's second liberation.
This quote from a young supporter named Maxwell Kabaka just perfectly captures that feeling. It wasn't just about the man himself, but the idea he represented: liberation, change, and the hope for a better future. And that idea resonated so powerfully with a whole new generation.
And this is crucial. In his final years, Odinga became this unlikely icon for Kenya's youth, for Gen Z. They saw this 80-year-old veteran standing right there with them on the front lines of recent anti-government protests. To them, he wasn't some relic of the past. No way. He was their champion in the present, fighting for their rights.
And all this mourning had such deep cultural roots. You could hear the cry, Jowi, ringing through the crowds. This is a traditional term from Odinga's Luo community. Jowi means buffalo, and it's a cry that's reserved only for a fallen warrior, a symbol of immense strength and bravery.
As the day wore on, that same intense emotion that shut down an international airport would tragically boil over, turning a day of deep mourning into one of death.
So as soon as the call went out that the viewing was moved to Kasarani Stadium, the response was just immediate and overwhelming. Tens of thousands of people converged on this 48,000-seat venue, creating a sea of humanity that gridlocked the city. Everyone was just desperate for one final glimpse of Baba.
Inside the stadium, the atmosphere was just electric, but also incredibly tense. The sheer volume of people became impossible to manage. Frustrated by the long waits and just determined to get closer, huge crowds started surging past security barriers. The police, completely overwhelmed, responded with tear gas and then, tragically, with live rounds.
4. That's how many people were killed. In the chaos of mourning their leader, 4 of his own followers lost their lives in clashes with security. It's just a tragic, tragic end to a day that was meant to be a hero's farewell.
So after all the heartbreak and tragedy, the nation was left completely reeling, facing this profound question about its political future.
I mean, for over 40 years, Raila Odinga was a gravitational center in Kenyan politics. It didn't matter if you loved him or opposed him, you had to reckon with him. His passing leaves this massive political void, which raises the one inevitable question on everybody's mind.
Well, the short-term answer came pretty quickly. His party, the ODM, moved fast to stabilize things by appointing his elder brother, Senator Oburu Odinga, as the acting leader. So for now, the leadership stays within the powerful Odinga dynasty.
But the bigger question remains. Raila Odinga's farewell was chaotic, it was tragic, but it was also a stunning display of his connection to the people. It showed the undeniable power of the spirit of liberation he championed. So the question for Kenya now is, can that powerful spirit be channeled into a constructive political future, or will it just be lost in the giant void left by the one man who inspired it?